Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. By Jackson Aurelia. Jackson Aurelia. Gonna proc it now. Gonna proc it now. Proc it Jackson Aurelia. TForce.
Welcome to the rework of the TForce. Now we going hard cause we bumping at the beat source. It's a 3-course dinner of dudes bringing the news and stats, interviews and cash from the pro scene. So fresh and so clean, like you're leaning with Nami in the bot lane. Keep it hot like brand, practicing his dot game. Give it to you easy like your Resi in a bot game. Imagine Draven at prime time. Now ulti like LeBlanc can copy that 4 times, but manlier. Knock it up like now fight planning a family-er. You gotta be tuned in like Sona on the ad wall. Get on the chat call. Can a podcast really be all that? Of course. How do 4 guys make a Triforce?
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and as always, I am here to host this awesome podcast. I hope you all enjoyed the Hazel interview that Chira and I did. I paused a moment there because it was more or less me, and Chira interjected like one thing. But I just brought it back a person just in case. That's usually how those interviews go.
You actually had stuff to say this time, unlike the Wild and Green episode. So there you go. It's a trade-off.
Punch is here.
Hey,
Punch. I have a request for you to do do a ransom note in your voice. You know how you hear them on like TV? They're behind the black screen.
oh yeah,
With the distorted voice.
They're like, send me fingers of your mother, or send me money, or I'll stop sending you fingers of your mother, like that type of thing.
What kind of ransom is that? Who does that?
Punch does.
Sounds like completely normal.
Good recovery, Adam, but it was too late.
I know. I do think Punch needs Punch. I need you to say something.
I'll take the fingers.
I need to say something.
I don't know. I think it's like the placement of your microphone is kind of weird. Maybe you need to pull a little closer. God knows what it is. Daze is here.
Start eating it.
Oh God, that's so loud.
Oh my God, that's so much louder.
Nice.
Because he ate it. Say hi, Daze.
Hi.
And Declawd is here.
Hello.
And last, Chira.
Hi.
All right, we don't really have a ton of announcements this week because we're still pimping the hell out of Patreon. We have reached a I wouldn't call it, it's not a milestone for the website, but it's a milestone for us. We've reached $1,163 per month. We've got our first payout, and we've emailed everybody in the network or anybody who has donated to us, guys. First and foremost, thank you so much for donating to us for the month of June. We do appreciate that.
We love you.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's basically we're telling you that we love you because we love you.
Chira with the love.
Yeah, I have a whole lot of love just to give all the people that donated to Patreon.
If you want to get a hold of the next set of Champion Select podcasts, if you listen to this and you didn't check your email, they should be out on June 13th and the 27th, give or take a few days, but you'll definitely have 2 this month to be able to, and you'll get a private download link, so you have to go download that by yourself. After that, we don't have things set up, but I think at the end of this month, Days, I'm kind of counting on you to answer this. We're going to put out a straw poll to see what we're going to talk about when it comes to AD carry and mid lane, correct?
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. And we have some really cool guests lined up for this Champions Select podcast as well. We have the #1 ranked Morgana in the world for the Morgana episode, and we have a Masters level Nunu?
Yeah. I'm really excited. No, it's a challenger level Nunu.
Okay.
I'm really excited. Like, it's not very often that you get to like talk to the #1 anything, and to have someone like that just be like, yeah, I'd love to come and share that level of knowledge is awesome, because someone at that level is going to have way more in-depth understanding of the champion than
Clearly they're doing something right.
Right. I mean, if you can't take away something from that episode, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to talk to him personally.
And before he's like, yeah, I'm just naturally good, man.
And the Nunu guy has a
buttons.
great, the Nunu guy has a great personality, and he's obviously challenger Nunu main. So I think they're both going to be really good episodes. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share that with you. If you guys want to get in on that, unfortunately, if you donate now, you will get that episode when we release the July episode. So it's still going to take a month for you to get them because we have to wait until your credit card's processed. And the credit card, the way Patreon works, is it's processed the first of every month. So when your credit card is processed and we see that you've spent the $10 or whatever it is, that's when you get the episode, essentially. So, that's how Patreon works.
Will you have access to only that episode or like an archive?
No, you're going to have access to the archive if you donate the $10.
Cool.
Well,
so then they could listen to it.
While I understand somebody in a year could donate $10, we really look at Patreon as a way for you guys to give back to us, and so we can continue to produce content, because you're still going to get all the free stuff. So by just giving us the money, you're you're pushing us forward. We're going to do a lot of stuff with this money, including a new website and all that kind of stuff. I know I've talked about it for a long time. Speaking of, thank you everybody who wrote in about the front end dev stuff. We have a couple of front end devs, and that means we get to push stuff forward really fast because we are there. And like I said before, we are going to Summoners Con in November. So if you're going to be at Summoners Con, let us know because we're going to try to get a booth there. And I've been trying to work with the guys to get a booth set up. If we not, we're just going to be around mingling at least. We're going to Summoners Con, so there's that. Other than that, I don't really have anything to announce today. Last week, well, actually, the only announcement I have is that I won't be here on Wednesday, so these guys are going to have to take over the podcast on Wednesday, and I'm sure all hell is going to break loose.
Chiro wants to do it. He's like, let me at him.
Yeah.
Oh, he loves doing the overlays. It always goes so smoothly.
Let me out.
No, okay. So for anybody who's just tuning in to the shit show of what happens when I have to do overlays, it's me sweating buckets for 15 minutes before the show starts, and then being really, really depressed as soon as there's 5 minutes to go, and I'm barely able to piece things together, and somehow it kind of works most of the time.
Oh,
sometimes.
BS.
And about 50% of the time, we have to restart the episode.
Yeah, that is 100% true, and usually the number on the overlay is completely wrong. But we still manage to trudge forward.
That's right. The podcast come out no matter what. So last week, we discussed doing a listener episode on Wednesday. We've moved that to this Monday episode because we expect a patch to hit on Wednesday. And if a patch doesn't hit, they'll at least talk about PBE. So there'll be some kind of patch notes to talk because at the end, the cycle has ended for the PBE. So we kind of expect one to come out. With that said, we are going to jump right into listener questions. We had a bunch of donations come in. I'll reread the donations and then talk about their question because I read the donations last week. So $2 from Thomas, and he says, I have a question. How to find that one champion to play with? I've tried all the champions and I like so many of them that I can't choose one. Which do I choose to climb rank more easily, or how do I choose to climb rank more easily?
I want to know why he feels the need to have
pick
one
one
champion to play with. Yeah, why do you need to find one?
Well, here's the thing.
If you play all of them and you like a lot of them, then that's good because you have multiple choices for each role.
It's confusing because you say you want to choose one that you like, that kind of identifies you, but then you say to climb rank more easily. So which do you want? Do you want one that you like or one that's just going to kick ass at any given time? Because that might change.
I think he's referring to that strategy where it's like somebody takes a single champion and grinds that champion all the way to diamond
because they know the ins and outs of that champion so
they become
well.
a master, right? I
It
like
helps
the
them get to
approach
rank.
of being well balanced and having multiple choices for each role, so I can pick based on what my enemies have picked and what my teammates have picked, make an informed decision.
I understand a little bit where he's coming from. I've several times on the show and just in general advocated finding one champion in one role, and then when you learn the champion inside and out, then you can focus on learning the role properly and things like that. I've been a huge proponent of that. And to give Horse Doctor a shout out, and I know that he hasn't finished all of his stuff, but he's done a lot of, he did a big poll of 2,000 people, and typically people who were one-trick ponies tended to advance significantly farther than people who tried to handle too many roles and too many champions. So there is something to be said about learning something inside and out, but if that's not what you enjoy out of the game, then it has to be a balance. If you're going to get so bored with a champion or you're going to long to play with the other champions and you're going to kind of just be this isn't fun anymore, you're going to lose because you're not having fun. So it all depends on what you want. For me, it worked for me. It worked wonderfully for me. But I know other people who literally can't play one champion or they quit the game. I have one friend who's quit the game 6 times because he tried playing only one champion.
Oh, well.
So
Sorry to interrupt, but I'd say
okay.
When it comes to ranked, I will say ranked is not for everybody. So if you don't find fun playing ranked, find fun just grinding 1 to 3 champions out, maybe ranked isn't for you. Maybe you need to find a way to play with some other people. But if your goal is to climb in ranked, I think you should pick 2 champions, 3 champions, and just stick with those and play those to death and learn to love the game through that. Because I can play Maokai very well, and I could probably carry a game with it. Maybe not so much where I'm at, but I get very bored playing the same champion over and over again. The mastery system has proven that I've gotten very bored of it because I've been trying to for fun, I've been grinding out Graves, and I'm that close to level 4, just smidgen from level 4 Graves, and I'm pretty much bored of playing Graves by now.
I don't think I'm level 2 on anybody.
Yeah, I haven't mastered anything just because I get bored playing the same champion all the time. But I think if you really want to push forward in this game and you really want to find that elo gaining gold, you need to find a group of 3 champions that you can play anywhere, or 2 champions you can play everywhere, and master those guys in, inside, and out, and just push as forward and hard as fast as you can, because you can play that champion in any role at any point, any time.
And
Right,
learn
and-
like the basics of the game. Like, and people say that, and you like people at every level think they have them like all the basics down, but like there's always something you don't know. So if you learn those like 2 or 3 champions and you know them really well, then you can focus on everything else, because you don't have to worry about your timers, you don't have to worry about your damage output, you don't have to worry about like your skill levels or your itemization. It all becomes second nature. So you can focus more on where's my team, who's on the map, should we be doing, where are we moving, and things like that.
I'll advocate 2 or 3 champions, because think about understanding power spikes. We talk about that a lot, where if you understand the different points in this game, if you understand Twisted Fate to the point that at level 2 he has this giant power spike and you know how to abuse it, you could win a game solely at level 2. And as long as you're using his ult to move around the map properly and understanding that level 60 is a giant power spike as well, you're going to start carrying the game. I like Pantheon in lower elos because he has a huge spike at 2. He has a spike again at 4, and then at
He's
6.
he's so overbearing early that he crushes other teams' morales if you can get it big enough.
Right,
like,
but you have to
lead on
understand
him.
the limitations of that champion. By just bringing some random champion into the game and being a jack of all trades, you might climb. I mean, it happens to some people, but I don't think you're going to climb as hard as if you picked a couple champions. It just found your play style, found what you like to do.
Are you at the point where you're comfortable with all roles, Thomas? I think learning the roles, what you're going to do in top, bottom, what your job is as the jungler, for example, is more important to climbing and in ranked, and finding that one champion to fit whatever role you enjoy. So know which champions cover whichever roles you want to do, and then try to focus on one like that looks cool to you or has a kit that just feels natural every time you use it. It doesn't feel like, if you're not using certain abilities at certain times, if you're only using one ability here and there, you probably don't feel comfortable with that kit for whatever reason. You should be using all your abilities whenever you can.
And I want to hit on the pick like 3 champions that you're really, really comfortable on, because let's say that you really, really loved playing Sejuani before she was considered OP up until like 3 patches ago, and that was like your go-to character. And then as soon as the next patch rolls around and people realize she's really strong, she's banned in every single game, and you might only get to play her 1 out of every 10 games if you're lucky. So like it's always nice to have at least another 2, 3, 4, however many champions to fall back on. That means you don't have to play everybody, but it's definitely good to have like a tight little pool of individual champs that you can play and dominate with.
Sound muted.
And someone brought up a really good point in chat that like a really good strategy is to pick a champion that you really like, and then pick the counter to that champion and learn the both. So you know how to play around the counter, and 2, if somebody picks your champion, you know how to punish them. And that's a really good strategy too that you can do, where you pick like 2 or 3 that fill like different roles and counter each other and things like that. So
Yeah, unfortunately, there is no elo increasing pill, guys. You have to put time into the game, and you have to find your role and find what you like to play and find what you're best at to make the most of your rank climb, if that's what you're deciding to do.
I'm glad you like a lot of champions, though. You said you like so many it's hard to decide. That's good, because then maybe you'll take them into their different roles and mess with them and decide that, okay, I like them. I'm going to shelf them next time I get stuck with this role, and then try it again. So just find that one role that you like, and then you got to pick a champion based on that role. If you like a whole bunch of champions for one role, if that's what you're talking about, there are so many champions for this one role you want to do. Let's say you're a mid lane player and you like all the mages that we're talking about, LeBlanc, Orianna, maybe even Kassadin or Cho'Gath. Then I guess the idea I'm picking those is to see, you want to climb rank. Look what is popular and can carry a game. And I like the suggestion Jay's brought up from Twitch chat. Look to see which champion counters it and try to master that one maybe. And then master, of course, the popular, powerful one that it counters in case it's not banned. And then you can carry with that one as well.
Let's move on. Unless Punch's got something to add to that.
No, we got a lot more questions, and I don't want to take up all of our time on one.
Oh, right. Brendan, he donated $5 with, oh, sorry, Lennon donated $5 with this question. Listen to the podcast weekly. Thanks for what you do. Question: last 2 seasons, I powered through silver into gold and got stuck there for the rest of the season. This season, I had a 75% win rate up to gold 5 and then immediately stopped climbing. I'm even duoing with a Plat 2 Smurf, and we still can't get me out of this hole. We've been considering having me duo with his main to hopefully get away from what may be Division 5 trolls. Is this a good idea?
Can I?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, there's a couple, like, just basic flaws with this strategy. One, I understand that you feel like you're getting smashed with, like, gold 5 trolls, but if you guys are having trouble in gold 5 and climbing against gold 5 level people, then you're going to have trouble when he goes up to his Plat 2 main, and now you're playing against gold 1 people. It's just the nature of you're doing something wrong wherever you are that's preventing you from climbing. And instead of looking, like, introspectively and trying to figure out what it is that you can do better, you're kind of pushing the blame onto the troll. And believe me, I understand, because Plat 5 is no better than Gold 5. And it's very frustrating, but you have to kind of look and see what you can do better. But as far as the other problem with this, and it's a big problem with duoing with people who are significantly higher than you, is that when you do that, you're taking, so he's Plat 2 and you're Gold 5, and you're taking people that are in the middle. And some of those people are going to be placed against higher level opponents in their own lane that they may or may not be capable of dealing with. So you may be causing your, I don't know, your like gold 2, your gold 4 teammate to go up against a Plat 4 ADC, like on the other team.
Yeah, but
and
shouldn't he be going against that either way? Because it would be based on his MMR and not what you two wouldn't be artificially inflating 3 other people's MMR.
Well, the problem
No,
is that their MMR is averaging out, and the chances that that Riot is gonna find a duo of another Gold 5 and another Plat 2 that are duoing is very unlikely. So they're gonna take. So your average MMR then becomes what, like Gold 2, somewhere in that range. So the other team is going to be made up mostly of Gold 3 to Gold 1 people, because they're not going to take 1 Gold 2, 1 Plat 2, 1 Gold 5.
Right.
They're just going to find an average team.
And they could
that's
very
a
well be
huge-
going up against like silver 1, gold 4, gold 5.
And I've
And
seen it happen. Like,
yeah,
it does happen. It's pretty documented that is a problem if you duo with somebody significantly above or below your range.
I hate to say it this way, but I refuse to believe that your Plat 2 buddy can't carry a Gold 5 game. It just sounds like to me that you both are disrespecting your opponents. I mean, Days hit the nail on the head here, but I think the further point to this is that both of you are looking, again, for that magic elo pill, and you assume that this Plat 2 person can carry, and it sounds like your Plat 2 buddy is disrespecting everybody, and you're disrespecting everybody because you expect yourself to be higher, because then you have in your head, I should be with my buddy who's Plat 2, so I should be playing against those people. And so you're getting dumpstered in these games by these players who are just playing the game like they normally would. Like, there's a level of respect you have to give every single person in this game, until the point that you get so far ahead, you don't have to give them respect anymore.
Well, and there's something to talk about with the kind of like mental state that you're in if you're going even, but you feel better than all the people that you're playing against, because again, realistically, you're in like at whatever moment of time that you're at, you're in the division that you deserve to be in until you get out of it. So like, you might just need to change up the way that you're looking at it, and you might actually be psyching yourself out once you get into games and doing exactly that, like thinking that the enemy shouldn't be able to even hold a candle to you in a certain situation, and because of that, you let them take a little advantage here and there, but those add up over the course of games.
Is it even possible for a Gold 5 to duo with a Plat 2?
Yeah, if you're gold, you can do a Plat.
Plats.
If you're,
Well,
it's not
it doesn't
Plat
depend on
5
division.
and Gold 5. No, it's
Yeah.
the whole division. It doesn't have to be.
In the question, though, he does say he's playing with his buddy on a Smurf, and his buddy is
Right.
Plat 2 on his main, so they're more than likely playing against Gold 5s to Gold 3s, we'll say, or maybe Silver 1s to Gold 4s. But
It also
either
depends
way,
on the MMR of the Smurf, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's lower than his main.
but
I was mainly worrying about his question at the bottom there, which
yeah,
I
don't
didn't
do
know if that
that.
was possible. I thought it was too big of a discrepancy.
I mean, it's everyone pretty much attests that like 5 of any league sucks. I mean, Plat 5, Gold 5, Silver 5, Bronze 5, like all of them. Diamond 5 I've heard is terrible. I haven't reached it yet, but heard it's terrible. It happens because people go on tilt and they feel like they need to be somewhere they're not. Or they're going on tilt because they're losing and they're getting close to dropping down. So it's just toxic. It's just a toxic place, and you just have to deal with it. It's like kind of when everyone started and everyone was in bronze and silver and they didn't want to be there, and you got to climb out of it. But you got to look at it and say, what am I doing in my games that I need to do better? What am I not doing? You know, how can I help my team? And don't worry about whether or not you're duoing with someone, because your main goal should be, if you don't duo with this guy, forget everything else. Do you deserve to be out of Gold 5? Like, if you don't duo, is it possible for you to carry out of Gold 5 on your own? So forgetting about, like, if you should do Smurfs or if you should play on his main, like, how do you carry yourself out and what do you need to do to improve? Because everybody reaches that point where they plateau and they're like, I'm so much better than this. And then everyone... and I just did it this season. I was in like Plat 5, and then I'd go up and I'd go down. And like, I can tell you that from the beginning of this season to now, and it's only been a couple months, I've learned a significant amount about the game that I wasn't doing properly when I was in Plat 5. So you just have to look and figure out what you need to do, and, you know, have people look over your replays and things like that.
I was going to bring that up. Instead of focusing on just trying to get around the matchmaking system, focus, like Daze was saying, focus on what you can do. And if you don't know what you can do, if you're not quite sure, our Patreon tier 25 or more, we will look at a replay. We will go through it in depth. I mean, this is going to be invaluable information for you. So maybe another set of eyes, a fresh set of eyes looking at it can say, you know what? Here's what you need to do to break out of this. So consider it.
Yeah, don't place the blame on yourself. That's the best way to climb. Just admit that you have a problem, or admit that there's something that you're missing, because every tier has that same thing that happens.
So like self-reflection and working on yourself will do way more than focusing on what your teammates are doing. From game to game.
Yeah, Brendan writes in. He donated $5 to the podcast. Hello, my summoner name is Heliolite Toonrat, and bribing you to answer this question because I am impatient. I am a TF
Good
main.
idea, Brendan.
Yeah, we'll take it. I'm a TF main. He's the first champion I ever purchased. I actually got the game because saw his model and wanted to try him out. He by far has my favorite kit and enjoys supporting the team, though not doing an immense amount of damage. Yada yada, he played LeBlanc. He goes away for a little while. He plays LeBlanc, doesn't feel that he has the skills in TF. And he wants to know, do you have any tips on staying good at multiple champions with different styles and not losing your touch?
Bounce back and forth between them. Don't grind one champion for a long period of time and then try to go back and expect to be as good as you were before.
At the same level.
Mix them back and forth. Play one as LeBlanc, go back to TF. And that will kind of train your mind to be able to go back and forth between different play styles.
And use champ select, like, or even the loading screen. Like, plan out what you want to do for the game and what your strategy is going to be while you're loading. Because people have seen me try to like full on engage level 2 as Sona. Like, it doesn't work. But after playing Leona for so long, you get in those habits. It happens to everybody. So if you plan out in loading screen, then you have a plan going into the game, and you'll be a lot more adjusted, and it won't come as a surprise.
It's good.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done that too, Brendan. I've played a champion a while, and then I go to another champion. Suddenly, I'm like, okay, let's say I was playing Ziggs for a while, and now I'm playing someone with a targeted Q like Pantheon. I sit there and try to throw a Q bomb at them from a distance. Oh, wait a minute, I got to click on him now. That's a skill shot. And let me reprogram myself, you know. So it happens. It's just I think Punch has a good idea of just going back and forth here and there, so you're not completely dazed on it. I like Daze's idea of just resetting yourself in champ select. I'll even sit there and like kind of practice a little bit. Okay, all right, here's my Q, here's MW. All right, I'm in that mode. You know, you psych yourself up in champ select.
Yeah, even the game too. Like, if you catch yourself doing something crazy and you die from it, be like, oh, whoops, that wasn't right.
Learning
and you can kind of take that second while you're walking back to lane, okay, and just refocus. Because there's no point at the game that, like, you know, if you die early, the game's not over. So you have time to adjust and to fix your strategies.
Yeah, as I learned top lane, I play a bunch of different champions that have different play styles. And as you were saying, Daze, I take advantage of that champion select time and that loading screen to just envision how the lane is going to go. Like, who am I playing against? And then what is his power spike? What is mine? What can I get away with? what would trades look like? Try to plan that out. Like, what ability will he use, and then what would I respond with? How will you want to trade? Just think about stuff like that, and that will help you get in the mindset of the champion that you're playing.
It's pretty good stuff. I never thought about that. I just usually go into it balls to the walls.
That's a good strategy too.
You don't think about what he's going to do next inside of a whole entire trade and which way he's going to shoot it and how he's going to shoot it?
No, I do during the trades. I mean, he's saying before prepping, thinking, okay, what can he do? And he's envisioning it as he's getting ready to go to the lane. That's a really good idea, and I'm going to start doing that more. But while I'm in the zone, I've been playing this game since beta. I can almost muscle memory what everybody does. So, but I like that idea a bunch.
What else are you going to do after you pick your champion in the loading screen?
You're just sitting there. Yeah,
stay there.
Get a beer.
Grab a drink, take a piss, do whatever you got to do.
I called Sierra cancer.
Try to drop a deuce as fast as you possibly can.
I do like to use champion select as a way to kind of mentally plan out how I'm going to build based on what likely they're going to build throughout the game. That way you can just sort of immediately know what you want to buy and waste less time when you back. That's just something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, you got to know what you're going to buy every time you go back. You have to have an idea before you go back of what you're going to be looking for and what you need. Because if you
every second you spend in base, not making money is money that's just being wasted.
Yeah, you sit in the shop.
You could be like Rain Man. When I used to watch him. He'd go back. He'd like look at the screen for 15 minutes. He'd buy like 6 things and return it. And, yeah, then he'd just end up with like 6 Dorans. Seriously, a Rain Man buys 4 Dorans and some potions.
I used to yell at some of my friends for doing that if they spent too much time backing, and it would be really, really funny because like the one game in like 10 that they'd find me spending more than 5 seconds at the base, they'd give me shit for it. It's like, come on now,
jump all over you.
Like come on.
No, you can't yell at them, you hypocrite.
If you watch pro players play or any of that really high level streamers, like you'll see where they get back into base and they immediately start clicking out of base, and then they go into the shop, they buy it, and they click out, and they're already on the way to lane. Like they've actually saved time by walking. Now you don't have to, like, you know, at normal levels, you don't have to buy that quickly, but like that should be your goal. Like waste no time in shop so that you can, you know, just buy and just get back to lane, because you're missing XP, you're missing gold. Like there's a lot that you're missing every second you're not in lane.
I'm a slow shopper.
It's a chess match. You need to think. You need to think ahead. You need to think where your opponent's going to go while you're away. What your opponent's going to do. Where he's going to go while you're walking back. There are definitely little minute pieces of this game that you need to pick up on and understand. And that goes back to what we've preached and harped on a million times: to understand your opponent, to understand yourself.
That actually, like buying quickly, was important enough that Ryan actually changed the radius of the shop, because with top lane you could actually shop faster. You could be closer to your lane and shop as opposed to bottom lane. Like that's how, like, buying quickly is important, and it made a difference enough for them to actually go ahead and patch the game.
That damn top lane advantage.
I miss that, man.
So powerful.
Regen and
I knew where that spot was. Every once in a while I still go there and I stand there and I'm like, shit. And then I have to walk.
No, right now the big thing that's been bothering me is top lane blue side. If you click to walk back, sometimes you get stuck in base and you stop walking. It's got like, and I
have that with bot lane and purple side.
Yeah, it's bot lane purple side or blue lane top side. You
I don't know what it is.
Stuck.
I'll click down and then I realize my hero's not moving. What the hell happened?
I've had that happen, but I thought it was just stupid and just didn't click right.
I think it's a bug. I think it's a click bug.
Don't listen to Mordekaiser and only click once. Click many, many times.
Exactly.
Well, usually, like, I'll click and buy while I'm walking because I don't want to buy it. I can buy it fast enough. Then I'm not walking, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like watching my lane, waiting for myself to get there.
Or I'll be watching another lane to see how like their fight is going or something like that, and I'm like, why am I just standing in lane? Like what?
They just hope
I
nobody
think you were
notices.
just drunk.
Right, exactly.
No, they've said it happened. I wasn't drunk.
Everyone was drunk.
We'll move on to the next couple questions. Waylon didn't have a question, but I forgot to read what he wrote last week, so it's some praise for us, because we all like praise. Waylon gave us $10 and said, guys, I love the podcast. Been listening for a few months now. Thank you for the advice about being disgustingly positive. I've been disgustingly positive since then. My teammates have been tilting less, and the toxicity seems to go way down for some good jobs. I've stopped asking why after bad plays, and I've told my teammates to do the same. People seem to focus more, and I like to think that I'm winning more games because of it. I've gone from Silver 4 to Silver 1, and I'm finally on my promos to Gold 5. That's his goal for the season. Thank you all for the great work so far. You guys and girl make for 45-minute commute so much better. Thanks a bunch. Wheeze Cake.
I love hearing this because like The greatest takeaway is if your teammates are making you feel violent, kill them with kindness.
You know
It
what's
works.
You know what's great about this, and I attribute to the podcast. And it's quick potophobia story time. Girlfriend had like the worst week ever. Car broke down, couldn't get to job interviews, and she kept like freaking out. And I looked at her, I said, "Stop focusing on what you can't control. Let's focus on what you can control, and that's getting to your job interview. Let's focus on buying that new car. Let's not focus on why it happened because you can't control it." And like she looked at me like, "I hate you, but you're right."
How dare you?
Podcast,
Well done.
podcast helping real life is best.
Way to bring it around
I had
into
to.
real life.
I turned off all chat and I don't talk to anybody in game because if I do, I'll rage at people. So I have to put the positivity somewhere.
I do have to say, it is really funny when I say something ridiculous and you're like, what are they saying? And I'm like, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, I know. I want to turn it on. I never do. I never turn on all chat though. I haven't turned on all chat. God knows how many months.
I hate when people do that. I'll be like, they are getting their toxicity vicariously through you to me because I
Shara,
muted
just
them,
tell me
but
why
I-
you're laughing. That's all.
No, not happening. And it's usually because I say something really
I
messed
know.
up.
All right, EBNN writes in, loving the podcast as per usual. I have a question for you about our Purple Premier Healer Unicorn lady, excuse me. What are your thoughts on Soraka's support itemization and her role in the current meta? I see a lot of pros building HP and tanking items. I've also seen some streamers go full AP, Frost Queens and Deathcap. Just want to know what y'all think of Soraka right now and her place in the game.
So she's not really popular in the current meta. It's just she doesn't offer a whole lot of lane pressure, and in a tanky meta, I don't know. She's just not in a great place right now. But I will tell you this about itemization. Like, if she's something that you really like and you really want to play, there are things that you can get away with in lower elos or sometimes even in higher elos that are not necessarily the best thing for your team, but you can win a game. So you can go AP Soraka, and it has some advantages, and she has crazy lots of things that she can do, and then she does lots of damage and lots of healing. But when you get to a certain point, you're going to have to, unless you get crazy ahead in lane and your team's like up wicked far ahead, you're going to have to go for the more traditional, like, supporty items, and just support your team through them. And it will enable you to be there for your team and to fulfill your role, which isn't as a damage dealer. And even though it does buff your heal, your team actually gets significantly more by getting things like Locket or Talisman and things like that. Mikhail's is really good. A lot of people do go ahead and they will get Magi's if they're ahead on her, even if they're going like a tankier build, because she's a very, very safe champion and she can stack it pretty easy, and that gives her a decent amount of AP. But for the main portion of the game, most people, at least in higher levels, definitely go a more tanky build. But it's like anything else. I mean, up through gold, I played full AP Sona, and it worked. But at some point, it stops working. And then you have to go back and you have to refocus on, like, okay, where does my team need my help now? This isn't working. And you have to adjust your play and make sure that you're doing what your team needs.
Yeah, if I were to watch a stream and see somebody go full AP Soraka, I'd be asking, why is he doing this? And I think the majority of the time, they're probably able to do that because they're winning early. And
Right,
they're getting
and
enough
really
income
winning
early
early.
through like an early kill or just dominating the lane so hard that they can afford those kind of items. But I mean, if I just type in Soraka into probuilds.com, all of the builds are pretty much your typical support items. With a couple Magi's, as you were saying, and Warmogs. See a couple Warmogs in there. I mean, I don't see Rabadons. I don't see heavy AP builds.
Well,
It's all pretty supporty items.
I can even rationalize the Magi's just if you're getting crazy amounts of, assists
Yeah,
from
with
the
the
heal.
ultimate.
Yeah,
Her
like
and
that.
Janna are the two supports that Magi's good
Yeah,
on.
you can
because
get away with that.
You get a lot of return on your investment for the AP for the little bit of money you spend on it. And again, it's the amount of AP you get for the money you spent on it. And you're safe enough that you're probably not going to die and not lose those stacks. So those are the two champions that you can get away building that on. But you still have to, like, and if you're going, even if you got ahead in lane, like, you have to get your team as a whole. I've made the mistake of being like, oh, I'm ahead in lane, I'm good, I got this, and going like some AP items are in Sona, and then I look around and my team's behind. And then you can't support your team because you don't do enough damage or anything really, or healing or anything to compensate for what they're lacking, where you could compensate for some of what they're lacking with a Mikhail's or a Locket or any of the millions of support items that are out there for them.
To speak to support itemization, I will see a lot of tanky supports. We'll talk Thresh or Leona, for example, be very selfish. And first of all, I want to apologize. I shouldn't have. I'm not going. Anyway, I'm going to apologize because yesterday I yelled at somebody about this, and I sounded like an asshole. I didn't mean to be, but I told him he was very selfish for building a Sunfire on Leona, like second item.
Right.
And he asked why. I said, well, why don't you get the Aegis? He goes, well, there's not a lot of magic damage. I said, well, Vlad is automatically going to do a ton of magic damage, so having that for your entire team is, more than enough to pick. Plus, you get Locket of the Iron Celerity, which shields everybody, which keeps everybody alive. You are being selfless at that point because you are gaining the aura yourself. But Sunfire Cape isn't going to do enough damage in a prolonged fight for it to be worthwhile, because no one's going to be targeting you, for one, and two, that aura damage isn't enough to make up for the magic resist aura and the shield that we're missing. So
It's more of a pushing item.
It really is.
Why would you get it as a support? You're not pushing a sideline. And
Because
if you're doing it wrong.
he took a page out of the Cheer Jaden support handbook.
But when you're looking at something that way, where is this selfless or selfish? Because you're picking that item because you want to become tankier and you want to do damage. Well, why are you playing a support? Because your supports, for the most part, aren't doing damage unless you are... even Soraka's not doing that much damage. You're building it because you have great AP ratios to heal more, and you're getting Warmogs because your life turns into life for other people. So... and if you're that far ahead, you should be carrying the game. You should also look at, if I'm going to build this, let's say I build a death cap first item on a support, I miss everything else. You have to be confident enough in your ability with shot calling and moving around and landing routes and doing whatever it is that you have to do as Soraka to be able to carry the game, to make that death cap worth the time frame that you have it, whether that's 5 minutes or 15 minutes. And if it goes past that point and you haven't won the game, or you haven't pushed your team far enough ahead to win the game, you've selfishly purchased for yourself and put your team behind and potentially lost the game.
If you look at all the main support items, they all offer something other than the stats that they're offering. So even like Randuin's, which has probably the least significant active, it still gives you extra peel because you still have that active for that, and you still reduce attack speed if someone's targeting you. Now, if you're getting targeted as Soraka, you're probably not going to last very long, but it still helps your team, and it still offers something in your team. Righteous Glory, you have the active. Where you're going, you speed up your teammates. You have Face of the Mountain, you have Aegis, you have Locket. Every one of those items does something in addition to giving you stats, and that's what makes a support, is you're there to look out for your team.
Here.
Oh, also, I have decided that a 20 stack Magi's is a support pentakill, because it's the only time we'll ever see one.
Okay.
Just saying.
I got
Anyway.
Danish Donut writes in. He says, I have been wanting to start into ranked after having played mostly bot games since the end of Season 2. Wow. I played one placement, which was tanked by a toxic jungler who affected the whole team. I decided that instead of jump into those, that maybe I should try unranked PvP and went to a blind pick game. There are multiple people on my team told me I was unskilled and that maybe I should go into ranked where there are more welcoming people to teach noobs. Is this true? I noticed there are several different PvP queues. I've played a little bit of Team Builder and they were friendly enough. Is there prevailing culture in each queue? Before anyone else jumps in this, because I know you guys want to talk about it, Danish, I think the Four Words podcast is for you. Seriously, if you haven't checked it out, go check out the Four Words podcast over at TrinityForceNetwork.com, because it sounds like to me you have a lot to learn about this game before you jump into ranked.
Also, Punch, would you like to read the comment that you placed next to this thing on our Google document that has this question written?
Sure. So I had an interesting piece, which was when somebody explained to him that the ranked queue is more welcome to teaching noobs, and my comment was, ha 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 for 2 lines. You get the point. So I pretty much disagree with that.
I just want to
very-
point out that muting is an option in every queue.
Yes.
It's available to everybody.
Most definitely.
Yep. That
I don't know
toxic
if there's-
jungler won't tank you if you don't know what that toxic jungler is saying.
I wouldn't say there are extreme prevailing cultures in each queue. I'd definitely say that in ranked, people go on tilt more because there's something on the line. So if they start to lose, they start to freak out because they don't want to lose really bad. The person that you were playing with in your blind queue game was probably just salty because
Because he ate a pound of salt.
Yeah, I mean, he just had salt for dinner and he's angry and he wanted to take it on to somebody. I mean,
He
don't.
just wanted to take this game with a pound of salt.
Sure.
Danish,
Don't listen to people like that. I mean,
Yeah.
you need to jump into these games.
Right.
You need to jump into blind pick and play to actually get better. So don't be scared off of people like this, because if you don't play against other people, you're not going
You're not
to
going
improve.
to get
and then you're
better
never gonna get
against
ranked.
other people.
Now, Team
Now-
Builder. You mentioned Team Builder. Team Builder's good for practicing a champion that you want, but don't look at the. You're not going to see the same comps and builds, because this is where the playground or people mess with things. They mess with different builds. Off roll champions. They'll put a champion like Soraka mid AP or something because they want to mess with it in Team Builder because it's not affecting their rank. Things like that. So when you do go into these different queues, don't think that this is how it's going to be in ranked as well. Use it
I
as
do
a
like
playground.
Team Builder for what you said, because it is kind of that. I think people for the most part are looking to practice something or try
Right.
something out.
So they're more relaxed on it.
Right. I mean, they're
And-
going in there looking to learn.
So you
And
go in
so-
there and practice and learn.
Realistically, the flow chart of like being comfortable at this game now with the addition of Team Builder should be like play Team Builder, get comfortable, take that into normal blind pick or draft pick games, and then once you're comfortable in those games, go into ranked. And if you're not comfortable playing the blind draft or draft pick modes that aren't ranked, you shouldn't be going into ranked, because ranks people aren't going to be any nicer to you in ranked play, and I will say they're going to be much less nice to you in ranked play than they would be in any other mode.
They're scary.
Danish,
They're going to
we
be
have a-
much more
Right.
critical.
We have a giant community
great.
of people here with the Trinity Force Network that are willing to help every person from unranked to diamond to whatever. I mean, we have a lot of diamond guys who play with us all the time, and we're very good friends with them at this point, and they like to play with lower level players. Danish, I would say add one of us in game, join the TForce chat in game,
Hang
and
out on TeamSpeak.
hang out on the team speak. And this goes out for anybody. This isn't just to Danish. If you're like this guy where you're kind of scared to go into ranked and you want to be evaluated, let's play a game together. Most weekends, during the day, I'm sitting in chat. Hey, who wants to play Draft 5? Because I want to get the community playing games, getting to know people.
Basically, I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and Adam was already playing with people by the time I grabbed a cup of coffee. So he's on during the day.
What
Go
a good
hit him
network
up.
leader.
Yeah, Adam. Way to be a shining example and a beacon of what Trinity
A
Force
beacon of-
is. And
Oh
will
my
be.
gosh,
a
don't
golden,
his ego.
shining
Please,
beacon.
please stop.
And
Please.
it's
Whatever.
swelling.
No, I agree with what everybody's saying here. Just join the community, because we're not going to be toxic with you. And if they are, let us know.
We do.
And
We,
if-
we
we'll
take
find deal with
toxicity
them.
super seriously here. We've had a number
So,
of conversations and had to have conversations
we're a
with
happy
a couple
community.
people. But everyone seems to turn their attitude around.
We're like Planet Fitness. We're not judging you.
I'm judging
you gotta do
everyone.
I
Well,
am judging everybody. It's just
Silently,
generally
though.
silently until you really screw up. I was
Oh,
playing
great.
with
Now they're going to
Lashak.
be like, man.
No, I
Adam's
was
not
playing with
saying
Lashak
it,
the other
but-
day, and he didn't land a thresh. He started W first and foremost, and then he couldn't land a thresh hook. And I said, Lashak, I need you to land one hook by the end of this game. And then the joke for the rest of the night was, wow, just keep telling me I'm bad. God.
You couldn't help yourself, could you, Adam?
I will
He
say,
landed hooks after that.
there are some times where I've been in games with certain people, and it was almost like they were really nervous to be involved in a community game, so they were afraid to do things that they would normally do, and it becomes it's just a regular game. Just play it out the way you would
We're having
any
fun.
other time. Yeah, exactly. Just use it to practice, goof around, do whatever.
Having fun.
Have fun. Don't troll. Don't be afraid to do things. Just play. Have fun. Have an open mind.
I have,
Any
re-
questions?
TeamSpeak's
I have
really-
resolved
everyone's really
Punchinello's
fun.
comment. It has been resolved.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yeah,
you for
there was
resolving
all-
that.
good job.
Resolving that. And revolving.
We're in the revolving door of listener questions, and next up is Noobsy. Hey guys, I'm a longtime listener and chat lurker. I had a question about ranked slingshotting. I've been in Plat for a couple seasons now, bouncing from Plat 5 to as high as Plat 1 and then back down again. Is your name Wrecker? Because that's exactly what this dude does.
Yeah, well,
It
the
is.
Wrecker's excuse is that he gets really, really drunk and forgets that he played ranked all night
He
long.
does it all the
So, and like, you think I'm joking? That's a common occurrence.
No, that's truth. That wasn't even a joke. It's truth.
So he wakes up the next morning and is like, all right, I'm in my promos for Diamond. Let me go to game 2. What the hell? Why am I gold?
And he's platform.
yeah.
Drunk Wrecker.
What
happened?
I have problems with really hot win streaks and really cold losing streaks. Any thoughts? I know that even though I am plat, there's still a lot for me to learn and improve. Keep up the good work with the podcast.
Thank you, Noobsy.
I think
Appreciate you listening and lurking.
I think this goes to our 2-game rule. Because to me, this sounds like tilting. I mean, if I ever hear that somebody's on a terrible losing streak, it's because it's in their head. And, I mean, it happens to me. I'll feel terrible. I'm like,
too.
oh, I can't do anything right. I just lose every game. And at that point, I just have to stop playing. I have to go take a walk. I have to reevaluate. After each game, I have to reevaluate my mental state. Like, how am I playing? Was that game so bad that I'm negatively affected and I can't play anymore? Or do I feel all right? Can I keep going? I mean,
And you
ask
have to
yourself
force
that.
yourself to do it. You got to force yourself to. If you find yourself going for that play again button real quick, and I got to get the bad taste of this game out of my
Calm
mouth.
down.
Catch yourself. Maybe put a little post-it and say, "Hey, you. This is past you, telling you, stop it."
I would
stand-
I have that same urge.
I would even say if you did great in the last game and like you had some awesome plays and your heart was pounding or whatever and like you really felt like you did great, you should take a break anyway. Because like if you had an adrenaline spike during that game, you very well might have an adrenaline dump at the beginning of the next, and because of that, you might actually play worse for it. So like I'm a huge fan of taking breaks in between games. I'm like, yeah, you're definitely going to end up queuing like afterward, but like a 5-minute break is nothing in the scheme of things when you're spending an hour like playing a game anyway. So
Come to think of it, that's a good point because, if you're playing, let's say you're playing that one champion, or you really like this one champion, one role, you're playing it, you had a nice long game, you got a good win out of it, and then you jump right in the next one. I found myself in that mode where I'm like, how come I didn't do that much damage? Oh yeah, because I'm only level 1. I'm not level 18 with all
Right.
these items. It's you kind of the residual feeling of how you played is still kind of there, and it can mess you up a little bit. So a reset is
That's
definitely
a major piece of this game. Every game should be like its own. It's its own isolated event. Like whatever happened in the game before it doesn't matter, and whatever happens in the game after it doesn't matter. Your focus
Right.
should be on the game at hand. So like that's what you need to put everything into is closing that game out and winning that game when you like doesn't matter necessarily how bad you did in the early game or whatever, just focus on the things that you can change as you're moving through the game to its ultimate, the way it plays out.
Yep.
There's-
Be echo with ult on cooldown.
There's a few things that you can do. Like, find out what calms you. Like, running's a really good thing to do. Going for a walk, taking a shower, drawing. There's a ton of things. Like anything that you would use in a normal situation where you get frustrated or have a lot of anxiety. Like, just because you're playing a video game, like those feelings are real and they're real to you. And any way that you would normally kind of alleviate those things, like, I don't know, go boxing, anything that would help you in like a real life situation would also help you with a league situation where you can take some time and you can get over it. And the other thing you have to do, and I'm a huge proponent of the whole 2-game rule, and I swear by it. But at the same time, like, I have a lot going on. I know there's a lot of people out there who can only play a couple games a day or can't play every day. And I can't play until after 8, and I can only play like 2 games a night, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. So there's always that pressure of, okay, well, I only have time for 2 games. And then if I lose those 2 games, it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm even farther behind. And tomorrow I can only get 2 games, and that will only get me back to where I was. Like, you have to like let go of all of that. Because if you spend time thinking it, and I've caught myself where like I'll lose one game and I'll be like, man, now I have to get that elo back and gain more elo. And if you start thinking like that, like you're going to get so wrapped up in your LP that you're going to lose focus of the game. And another thing that happens with me is if I play one champion for too long, then especially if I do really well on them, I get really cocky and I start making really stupid mistakes like frontlining Sona. And it's a really common thing. And a lot of times switching up and playing a different champion for a couple games will kind of get you back on your toes where like you have to start thinking again because you kind of go into zombie mode where everything seems so easy. And especially if you've been winning a lot or doing really well, it will help you kind of switch focus. And that will, when you go back to your main champion, it will help you a little bit to stay focused with that champion also.
If you get focused doing the same thing over and over again, you're gonna fall in a rut regardless of whatever you're doing, just because there's not enough going on to stimulate you to think outside of the box or to do things that you aren't necessarily comfortable doing, which is how you improve.
It's kind of like driving home every day. Like most days you don't even remember how you got home. Like if you're doing the same thing every single game, the game's gonna be over and you're gonna go back, oh, what did I do wrong? And you'll be like, I was playing a league game. And then you learn nothing from it. So at least if you change it up, like if you go a different way home, then you remember all of a sudden how you got home. It's the same type of thing with League.
Time. I want to talk about time. Thanks for bringing that up.
Oh.
Please,
Hey, Punch, did you want to say something?
Sorry?
Yeah, time. Completely ignore time. Time is terrible, right? If you go on a 10-game losing streak, it doesn't fucking matter because the season is a long time and you have months to make that up. Even if you don't make diamond this season, which let's say that's your goal, right? You're platinum, I'm platinum, my goal is to make diamond. If I don't make it this season, it doesn't matter because there's next season. So long as I keep getting better at the game over time, it's inevitable. So long as I keep playing and keep getting better, then I'm going to hit diamond.
Yeah, why
That's
put
how you
the
look at
extra
it.
stress on yourself? Like why limit yourself to a certain period of time to do something? Because like if you spend a lot of time thinking about that, again, that's time that's not being focused on taking care of the games that are you're currently in or the games you should be focusing on.
Listen,
There are
that's
enough deadlines in real life. This is your game. Relax. I like that idea. Don't worry about
that's
time.
a good point overall. But Punch, if you don't hit diamond by the end of the season, I'm kicking you off of the podcast.
Hey, think of LP. Think of LP as currency, okay? So if you have, say you have 50 LP and you play against someone and you lose, you just paid LP to play against better players. And if you win and you get that LP, somebody else just paid LP to play against you because you were a better player. So if you think of it as an investment, like when you lose, you're paying LP to play against better people and to have that learning experience, then it doesn't suck as much to lose. And then you see it the way it is because it really is a learning.
We're gambling with LP
The
now.
best. As soon as you say that, my first thought is every loss is an investment in yourself.
Finally, to cap
I'm trying to be encouraging here, guys.
to cap this conversation out, go listen to episode number 265 with Hazel. He talks a lot about time and how to use it, and everything he talks about time is pretty much what we recapped here, and there might be a little bit more, but it's the TLDR is take breaks, reflect, etc. We're going to go ahead and move on to CrashDummyX. He writes in, I am former Gold 2 player that has recently been demoted to Gold 5. This descent started with the resurgence of the tank meta and introduction of Cinderhulk. Before Cinderhulk was a factor, my primary and favorite roles were mid and jungle, but now I find myself only having consistent success with ADC and sometimes support. My primary ADC is Vayne, so she eats tanks for breakfast. In my other roles, I struggle to find myself being influential enough to secure victories. I have always preferred aggressive and skill shot based champions, which are tempered by tanky champions usually lose the game exceeds 40 minutes. So my question is, do I shun my favorite champions in enjoyment in pursuit of victory? If not, then what gameplay adjustments can I make to overcome this meta? I love what you all do. Thanks so much for helping me get through rush hour traffic in Atlanta.
Depends on what you want to do, Crash Dummy. You want to win? Sell your soul. Sell your soul and play what gets you that LP. If you want to have fun, then you know what? Well, you can do both. I mean, you can play your ADC and support and have success in ranked, and then when you get tired of that, you can swap to non-ranked and play your favorite champions. Keep it fresh that way.
That's a good way to look at it for climbing, but I kind of still have a little bit of that residual scrub mentality where if I don't like playing a champion, even if it's awesome and badass, I will not play it. I stick to my favorites for the most part. That's probably why I'm stuck where I'm at, but it's still... I wouldn't sacrifice enjoyment because you're playing a game. Come on here, Unless you're up there in the challenger scene or the pro scene and you actually are doing this for a living and your coach tells you you will learn this champion. Yeah. But you're down here with us having fun. So
I only have fun when I win. So
there you go, Punch. Then
gotta
The
win.
other thing is
If that's
like
the case.
the other thing is, have you tried any of these tank jungles? Just because you may not like the whole overall theme, every once in a while you'll find like a champion that just kind of works for you, even though it's outside of your norm. So you might want to just kind of fool around with some of the other junglers and see if you like some of them.
I mean, just because the tank meta is what it is, like, there are champions that aren't tanks that do extremely well. I want to throw Rumble's name out there in the top lane. He's not a tank, and he still crushes. So, I mean, like, there are going to be champions that aren't necessarily, like...
Rise.
Yeah, I don't know about Rise right now. I mean,
After
Rise is
rework?
a little... He's better now, but I still...
He's insane.
What about Fiddlesticks jungle? He's super powerful and popular
Fiddle
right now. Like,
is the winningest jungler. Surprise!
Can we even call this the tank meta anymore?
I
Like, I don't even know if
I think
it's
it's
And-
I don't see
fading.
enough
I think
tanks.
we had
yeah.
well we even had this, like, I don't know if we had this conversation on the show, but we had this kind of conversation
Maybe an
internally. At
older-
least Adam and I did it. This wasn't even really necessarily a tank meta as much it was like a tank bruiser. Like, yes, Cinderhulk's great, but it just gives more power to
Cinderhulk
people
meta.
who can live. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. People who could build Cinderhulk were at an advantage. It didn't really matter if you were tanky or not. Like, Cinderhulk helped out people who were innately tanky. You could get away with way more people like picking up a Cinderhulk. But that being said, like, things have shifted a bit, and the way things have been nerfed, like, it's not necessarily a Cinderhulk meta anymore. It's still a better choice than getting some other stuff. But
Warriors.
yeah, I mean,
we are in the best spot I think League has been in 2 seasons, and that's
it's the
you
most
can-
diverse it's been in a while.
You can pretty much play anything anywhere you want at any time, and that's great.
Yeah, I'd give your favorite
One-
champions another try in normal queues, and play them enough until you start feeling confident with them again. If you start seeing success, you could take them back into ranked. There you go. It's the best
One
of both
of-
worlds.
Sorry. One of the other things about this is that this is kind of like those emails that we get of, I love so-and-so, but they're not in the meta. Should I stop playing this champion? It doesn't, if you are good enough with your champion, then it doesn't matter if you're being countered. It doesn't matter what meta it is. If you're good enough with the champions that you have, you can climb with them. That's why people, get to really crazy high levels, meaning one champion and it's a terrible quote-unquote champion and it doesn't fit into the meta. It's because they are so good with that champion that no matter what happens, they have a way to deal with it. So if it's a problem with Cinderhulk and there's too many tanks and, then maybe a different way of positioning, maybe a different way of engaging, maybe staying out of the fight longer. Like, there are still ways that you can win those games. It's not just, oh, I play assassins, it's a tank meta, I should just quit League. Because a really good assassin could still win that game.
And we see it in the pro scene. That's the real gauge. Is the talking about meta. Everyone in the pro scene is just meta all the time, 100%, or go home. Look at the diversity we've seen in these last 2 splits alone.
right.
And now in the summer split right now, is if you guys are watching, it's just insane the different picks that everybody comes up with.
Well, and there's the piece to say too that, like, even if something's not meta, with the fact that there's so many people locked into the idea that the meta is the only way to go, if you can pick a champion that's not necessarily seen all the time or somebody that you excel at that isn't within the meta, it tilts other people that think, well,
You have the
why,
element of surprise.
yeah, why is X champion doing well? They're not good in this current meta. My brain is exploding in just depression because I don't know how to handle it. And realistically, it's just like, wow, you have more experience on this champion and you can do some stuff that they might not even know that champion has the ability to do. So you can really
That's a good
make
point.
it work for
they
you.
could go into it just underestimating, like, oh, yeah, that's a Fiora. We don't have to worry about her.
I
Better worry
guarantee
about
you,
her.
if you look in Diamond 1, Masters, and Challenger, you can find a main of every single champion.
There's a goddamn Challenger Garen player.
You're right.
Yeah, right.
like you can't tell me that you can't make somebody work. You can make it work. It just depends on
Do you
your
wanna put the
expertise
time
on that
into
character.
it? Do you
Right.
want to learn
And your
the champion?
understanding of the game and things
Right.
like that.
I mean, there's a ton of variables that go into it, but like realistically, somebody who has a great understanding should be able to get there eventually with almost any champion.
So play what you like.
But don't jungle Heimer when I'm in a game with you, or I'll be pissed.
Unless your name's Wrecker, then you can join Karma.
No, don't. If your name's Wrecker,
Oh.
don't do it. Just don't, because you'll probably be
Or
flat
swear.
one
We'll
and
do what
then
he
die.
wants.
Please, if your
That's
name's
the
Wrecker,
problem.
don't do it.
That's why I love it. I haven't played with Wrecker in a while, like to the point where he's just done weird shit. I need to get some more.
Well,
normal
you
stuff.
know,
Oh,
you
we've done
say
weird
that.
shit
You say that,
last
and
week.
Wrecker's fun as hell to play with. But as soon as you two get in a game together and something he does doesn't work out, then it turns into this giant arguing match. And I don't want mommy and daddy to be fighting.
Shut up! You're the chancellor. Get the fuck out of my goddamn top lane, you son of a bitch.
Oh my
shut up,
God.
asshole. Well, end of the podcast here. One other announcement: we are still working on a date for the LCS rundown, guys. I believe they did accept our challenge. We are going to run this set a little bit differently. It's not going to be like set number 2. So set number 1, if you remember, it was 3 fun games essentially. I don't think we played one real game in that set. Like
No.
they were 5v5, but they were all just fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we played 2 games because one we were all out of our normal champions and out of our normal roles, and the
Right.
second one was the comps.
And Wrecker played with them at that point too.
And you gave them Fragor.
Yeah, we let them
Yeah,
have Frag.
Like,
So-
why? I don't know why you would do that.
If you guys want to help us out, just write in emails telling us to never give Freljord to anybody else ever again, because a Freljord team is real good with all that CC.
Halfway
So
through the game, Adam goes, "Oh my God, we're CC'd for days," and it's like,
No shit.
who would have thought?
set 2 was a real set, which went to 3 games, and we had a lot of fun doing that one. And I have proposed to them to do like a set of 5, but no one ever responded to me because I was like, why don't we, sets, like best of 3s, we do sets over a couple of months. Because I kind of want to do another set of best of 3 like that, but we've decided that we would like to do this to have a lot of people watch and have fun with it. So we're going to have fan interaction where we have people. I don't know if we're going to have people pick our champions, or we're going to have a band, like a global ban list of like 10 champions, or we're going to have something fun, right? Where it's still competitive, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And the third game, we're going to play a third game no matter what, and that's going to be blind pick for both sides,
ooh,
OGN.
like OGN Korea style. So the first 2 games are going to be fun, and again, this is this is a fun set to play against them. We could probably say it's for bragging rights. We'll say it's for bragging rights since we have bragging rights for game 2. We'll say this is for bragging rights for fun. But again, it's based on the fans who wants to do what. So we'll release all the rules and all of that upcoming. I think we'll probably play that at the end of July, because before that, we have a TForce tournament. So you guys have probably seen that if you follow the Reddit or Twitter, and we are having it's one person from each division, or each, is it tier, division, whatever, silver, bronze, plat, gold. And they're all playing on teams of 5, and they're going to play throughout the month of June and July. In the end, after the finals, they will play us, or at least people from the network, whoever I can get together. So we're going to have like one final best of 3 with the winning team versus people from the network for fun. And all those will be streamed on the TForce podcast channel on Saturday evenings.
So they'll have practiced and fought through a tournament and been a well-oiled machine, and then they come up to us and we're like,
Oh no, then we just win.
here's your exhibition game.
I've already told them they're going to go against like Bao and Horse
We'll,
Doctor and
we'll
stuff.
do
so.
we'll do what we always do and just wait until the last minute and wing it, boys and girl,
And drink.
and
drink.
drink heavily.
Yeah. But most of everything we're going to do fun. One last announcement, since I like to split them up, is that keep your eyes peeled on June 17th or 18th. That's all I can say. Keep your eyes peeled. Watch Twitter. Watch Facebook.
Is this an announcement of an announcement?
Yeah, but it's a really fun announcement of
I
announcement.
hate your
Yep.
announcements of announcements.
I used to hate him. I used to
I
push him
like
off.
it. He
It's
does
such
the
a
whole
waste of
day
time.
on Twitter, like yelling about people making announcements of announcements, and now he's made such a habit.
Well, he's a huge hypocrite. Like everybody that knows Adam.
I
knows
am. It's great.
You're the
I'm
worst.
not even mad. I don't even care.
I'll be twice as mad for the both of us.
Yeah, you won't be mad at the 16th or the 17th or 18th, though.
You say that.
Better not be.
I hope not.
Holding you to that.
Wait till you see what I said about you. Oh, I said too
Oh.
much.
Jesus.
Shit. All right, guys.
I know what's going on, but
I know. That's episode number 266. Cheera.
Hey.
Episode number 266 of the Trinity Force podcast.
What about it?
Wait, what's that?
Cheera. It's episode
I
266.
know. Okay, so another joke for everybody who doesn't know. Every time the episode ends, I have to ask what the episode is, and it's funny because everybody else typically doesn't remember either. But
I rely on Sheer to ask for me.
There you go. See, though realistically, it's because I just don't pay attention either. So there you go.
256?
Yeah,
Guys, 266, thank you so much for listening. They will be here on Wednesday. I will not be. Yeah, rewind it.
We'll
Whip it
put a
and reverse
picture
it.
of you in your place and just pretend.
The one that Darkener posted on the Facebook page
Yeah, that one.
with like my mustache and shit.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, we'll see you all next week. Peace.
See ya.